there's a big knowledge gap and not everybody understands. AI definitely would be central to threat detection. But as you rightly mentioned, AI will also be used by attackers. They would also use it. So the question is,
Hello and welcome. This is Gautam here from VENTRIKA, and today I am delighted to welcome Debjani from Spica Systems. Debjani has been a great friend, a great partner, a business partner for many years, and now she is leading a very thriving business called Spica Systems. And we are here to hear more about her founder journey as well as a personal story, and to learn more about what Spica System does. Welcome, Debjani. Welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure having you.
thank you very much, Gautam. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Debjani, it would be lovely to hear more about your personal journey, what led you into cybersecurity and ultimately to founding Spica Systems. If you can just chime in, that'll be very inspiring for other founders who are on their journey as well, whether cybersecurity or not, but please share with us a little bit more details.
Sure. No, thank you very much. That's been a while, yes. So I began my career in supply chain. So I was supply chain operations in oil and gas industry, and I was working in remote locations, right? In challenging locations like Central Asia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan. I was in Dubai, I was in West Africa, Angola, Congo, and then later in Canada. But I worked for this company as a Swiss multinational. And finally, when I was in Canada, I was at the Lower Churchill hydropower project. So I was leading this digital transformation there. And while working in these different environments, I had to wear many hats from operations to technology adoption. And that's where I led these various digital transformations, like including implementation of SAP ERP. Those experiences gave me an unique perspective on different businesses, environment. How important, how critical is the resilience, the importance of technology and enabling operations. And my professional career, I've also been when you work in these remote locations, you work with locals. So it's not just having knowledge, but also sharing the knowledge.
That's right.
That from there, I probably never spoken to you about it. I'm also a part-time professor in local business in Ontario at business colleges. So I have developed
I didn't know
courses.
that.
Yes, I've developed courses in project management, supply chain management. And maybe I'll share a website later with you. Is like I write children books. So I'm also an author.
Wow.
So I've just recently
Awesome.
published a book and it's already in the Amazon and various stores. So coming back to the point, the idea is what it kept me connected to learning, teaching, and creativity. So it's not just business, and you need to do this. So later on, after this, and all this journey in the Central Asia, Middle East, and all, I was working for this Swiss multinational. So I worked with them for 16 years, and mainly catering to the oil and gas industry and hydropower industry. Then I became a professor for a few years, which I still do part time. And
Nice.
I was leading a startup based in California, which was involved in 5G system integration, 5G integration, and mainly in the telecom space. And during this time, one of my oil and gas customer in Africa, they suffered a cyber attack. And
Mm,
that's when I sat down and we were exploring solutions. And God, it is so confusing. There are so many players out there. There's so many tools out there. Customers are fooled by randomness. They really don't know what is the right solution.
that's true.
There's so many licenses and not every customer has a huge budget. They're not everybody is a multinational banks where they have so many cybersecurity solutions. So I remember there was one customer asking me, and this was like in Africa. So we were having this meeting early in the morning, and he says, Debjani, how many licenses do we have to protect ourselves? We don't have. They're a service company catering to oil and gas. And that's when I realized how fragmented the cybersecurity market was for customer, the knowledge gap. And that's when I thought, this is the time like I'm going to create a managed service company. And there's definitely so many tools. The customer needs more clarity. And I thought of creating a managed services,
That is
which
beautiful.
would be a foundation that simplifies the complexity. And that was the whole idea,
Absolutely.
and strengthen resilience and also helps organization to adapt. So they can focus on what they're doing, and then Spica can take over and monitor their cyberspace, their network, the security centers, everything. So that's where it comes from. So a long
That's
journey.
beautiful. I
I know
mean,
that has been a
yeah,
long story,
it's
but
no, that was amazing, amazing to share. I can tell you that we went to a conference called RSS Security, which I'm sure you've heard of, the
Mhm.
largest cybersecurity conference. And me and my wife, my co-founder, we were just walking through and looking at all the different new companies, and it was so funny that pretty much every company sounded so similar in the space. They're all talking about governance. They're all talking about agentic AI. They sound so similar that it's such a big disservice to many of the customers that, just like you mentioned, people are looking for a solution and everything just sounds the same. Every company just beating about the same bush. And it's very hard to figure out for a company that, yes, if they were to pin down somebody, would it be a point solution or would it give them the entire relief? Because cybersecurity is not a one is not a single point solution. It's a concept, right? And we don't know what the hackers are going to do to like break in, and therefore more and more companies gravitate towards larger companies because they are hoping that the larger company kind of figure it out and will give them the entire solution rather than a point product. And I think what you're doing is a great service because not every company can buy the largest solutions, right? They're looking for they're looking for help and they're looking for like guidance and all of that. And I think that's why what Spica System is doing is a very good service to the small medium business, that don't have the large millions of dollars of budgets to cut those checks, and at the
right.
same time do need help because they're as vulnerable to attacks as a large company might be in plus minus. And so that's a great and that also aligns with my mission, and that's why I wanted to do this podcast with you. Like what Ventrica is essentially for cybersecurity companies is that go to market, finding the right message and telling that right message. So you find your buyer. Let your message find your buyer, and don't go in trade shows and try to find everybody. That's not the point. It is about the right message. So with that, let's ask the next question. So in this journey, how the journey been, right? If you can tell us the challenges you face in growing the company and your approach as a leader that keeps you strong and going forward, because selling security in general, whether it's services or product, is very hard because it's not a tangible. You don't buy, you buy, a product, a server, it has so much CPU, so much capacity. When you buy a cybersecurity attack, and let's say, sorry, you buy a cybersecurity product or a portfolio or a solution, and you do not get attacked, then the customer is like, oh, I didn't see any benefit, right? The attack that it prevented is not that very visible. So tell us, like, what challenges did you face and how did you approach it?
Interesting question. So I think the biggest challenge which I faced with Spica system at the starting, as you said at the beginning, is the stakeholder management. There are so many different stakeholders, right? And balancing those perspectives. There are business leaders, there are engineers, there are regulators, there are end users, and how to find balance. That's what became, and also partners like Ventrica, right? Those are the how do you find a balance? Because especially when a startup, you want to work smart. And then a platform, an amazing platform like Ventrica, you can get the best out of it only when you are asking the right questions. So and then you can write questions only when you know the stakeholders, the priorities of the stakeholders. How do you manage them? And that's where I learned, and of course with my past experience, the importance of the communication, the transparency, the shared goals, and how to create a shared goal between the partners, between different stakeholders. And that's what I focus on today, the transparency, the collaboration, because cybersecurity, as you pointed out, is as much about people and processes, but it's about technology. It's equally important. It's not just technology, it's the people, it's the processes. How do you find a balance? So
100%.
that was the challenge. But as I said, I love learning. You learn every day. And I'm still learning. I mean, that is
That's
every
awesome.
day. It's moving, right? It's so
That's
dynamic,
life.
this
Learning is
world.
life. Absolutely. That's
Sure.
beautiful. And what inspired you to become a founder, especially in this space, right? Came from a different background, and like what keeps you going and what motivated you that you kind of covered it a little bit, but is there anything specific? Because, a lot of founders do it for the wrong reasons. There's a lot of
Hmm.
glamour behind startup world, and, a lot of people think it's a freedom and all of that. can attest to that being the opposite, is like absolutely is not freedom. It's way more work than having a job, and there's like so much to think through, and there's so many ups and downs. But is it worth it? Oh yeah, absolutely. It's there is the why is very important, right? In the start, like why are you doing this, and the journey
Right.
is very is very rewarding. But what inspired you, like the day, like take us to the point when you said I got to do this, right? What was that? Help us walk through that. The emotion, the thinking, the logic, the motivation, maybe a pain that you wanted to solve. Like, what was it?
Okay, great questions. So that I think I always wanted to have a startup. That was something when I stepped out of my college. But universities, those, we called it colleges, but universities and all. But I also wanted some real life experience. And I'm fortunate I had this opportunity to travel around the world, understand different business environments. And I thought at some stage of my life, I got to do something with all the knowledge and experiences that I've gathered, sharing it, right?
Of
And then,
course,
of
yeah.
course, I was looking for the right spot. And if you ask me the question, it's the customers who actually drove this whole thing. And then this coming back, it's the process, the technology, and how best to make use of the technology. And then when I was getting into cybersecurity and this space, is the false alarms.
Hmm.
It's most of the time they are not real threats. And the amount of time customers and the ignorance and
Absolutely.
not knowing what is the threat and what is not a threat. So it's amazing. And not that I am always know the answer. I mean, there are brilliant minds who are working on this. But I just thought, I mean, how about holding hands with the customers so that they can focus and I can do this. So yeah, I mean, I think it is the really the customer, their struggle with fragmented solutions, uncertainty. What is a false negative? What is a real threat? And I wanted to build a company that partners with customers instead
Beautiful.
of
Love that.
just selling them tools and solutions. That's a very straightforward thing. Everybody does that, right? I don't want to just sell the tools. Work as partners, understand what is the problem and come back with a solution. I mean, jointly find a solution. As I said, shared goals. And that's the
That's
perspective which you need. You can have a lot of automation, but so I think it's a very interesting space we are in right
no,
now.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Customers are looking for help. They're looking for advice, and they're looking for a solution that'll work for them. And there are, like you said, there are millions of solutions. How does the customer decide, right? What is right for them, right? Forget the vendor. First is what do they need, right? They're not cybersecurity experts. We're talking about SMBs. You could be anybody. You don't have staff that knows this stuff. I think that's where you can go in and advise them, do a custom solution for them. Whoever the vendor is, you decide. You become their best, the most trusted advisor, and you guide them. And I think that's a huge value to the world, right? Guiding people.
Right. Like this morning, I was in a meeting with agriculture robotics. I do this every Friday, and they are mainly in the food industry and they work on the robotics. I mean, they're working on robotics and
Right.
instrumentation and agriculture. And cybersecurity is the last thing they think of, but it has an impact. The other day, there was a dairy farm at a cyber attack, and everything was standstill. I mean, and they don't know what to do. And they're always resource served. It's so unfortunate that food is so important for all of us. But agriculture, robotics, they're always starved. And I really feel that's where, such kind of managed services can help, like at least they can focus on their agriculture and do it. And those are the little things. There's so much of knowledge gap, and there is so much you're fooled by randomness. Too many out there. Yes.
Absolutely. So, so when you started Spica, what problem were you trying to solve? Like, was there a particular customer that needed help that really triggered you into this? Or was it this whole concept like, yeah, we need to build something to help SMBs, that don't have information? Or, hey, it's a very crowded space, it's very confusing, like you said before, and let's do something around it? Or was it like, hey, a customer is really like, burning through this and they really need help? And then you said, okay, let's start this. And then that ideated into founding a company. And then from then, what's been the journey? Like, walk us through, like, what are you doing now? Like, what is SpicaSys doing now in terms of product, services, positioning? How do you position yourself versus maybe your competitors or bigger players? Like where do you like, so walk us through how you started and where are you now? Who are you serving?
Sure. So I primarily started with the oil and gas service company. I do work closely with agriculture and agriculture robotics. I'm with them. I'm also a member of Mining Association in Canada. But again, as I said, if you have those huge companies and they have huge budgets. So I'm kind of it's I do work with them and talk to them, but I'm kind of catering to those customers who has a budget. I mean, not a big budget for such things, but as I said, I mean, they're as vulnerable as any big company. So we started off as a managed service provider, full stack managed service provider. And then we moved to also, offering network operations center, security operations center, testing services. So if it's all and consulting. So we work in a partnership ecosystem. So we have various partners, various tools, various solutions, and our partners all have over 20 years of experience, because that's also important, right? I mean, you
Sure.
have to be able to speak the same language. I mean, as much as I have Ventrika as a partner, and then I have the other, it's as I said, it's the biggest thing is the managing the stakeholders.
That's true.
Doing a startup or a business today in today's environment is finding that balance so that everything it works seamlessly. So that's what it is. So yeah, the managed services allows a sustainable business activity, like seamless adapt to the emerging needs which are happening. And then you have the network operation center, the security operation center. They are monitoring the network 24 hours. So the customers knows that, it is taken, and if there is a testing, some audit required, like how the pen test, the vulnerability test, those are the things. What I work very closely is, beside the managed service, is the cloud application threat detection solutions. So a lot of our customers are moving, they're already moved to
Absolutely.
cloud.
Everybody's moving to the cloud for sure.
Exactly. And then that threat detection at that space, identifying what is the real threat, taking responsive actions and quick actions. So that's the space we focus on while offering our managed services. So the network operations center, the SOC, NOC, the consulting, the audit service, the pen test, the vulnerability test we do. But yeah, the focus is that cloud application threat detection solutions, identifying the threats and making a response or giving a response, immediate response, and being available and working with the customers as partners. That's what we try to do.
That's awesome. Are there like particular types of customers that Spica has solved, and like what are the unique challenges you've helped them solve? Obviously, the cloud threat detection is, a clear example, but maybe could you tell us like few customers that you have served and what challenges you have helped them actually solve? And then maybe another second part of the question is, are there certain industries that you focus, like certain verticals and industries that you serve more, or are you more a horizontal solution? I know clearly you are more S&B focused, medium-sized companies, smaller to mid-sized companies. But are there any sweet spots or kind of customers you served and been more successful, or areas you want to gravitate more towards?
Great question. At the moment, I am working very closely with agriculture robotics, agriculture sections, food, that space.
That's a huge
I
area.
am connected with mining, not necessarily always the big mining company, but there are a lot of service companies which serves the mining company. Those companies. I'm in touch with the mining companies too. Oil and gas service companies in West Africa. And that's
Those are
something I
critical
work there.
infrastructures. Those are important. Yeah, very important areas.
Exactly. And also in Central Asia, those are some of the pockets which have gone in, besides North America, US, Canada. But you know what? I'm open. I mean, cyber
Yeah, it's
security,
huge.
I mean, we
Yeah,
all are vulnerable. My company, your company, any of us are vulnerable. So we need security, we need resilience, we need to protect ourselves. So I'm very flexible, and our solutions, you really don't need to reinvent the wheel. As I said, the approach is to understand the customer's problem and understand the priorities, make
and
those
architect a
audits.
solution around it. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Do the test, pen test, vulnerability test, see what points are vulnerable, and come up with a solution.
Yeah.
That's the
The
whole
good thing
idea.
about That covers the whole idea. The good thing about Spica, what's really impressive based on what you just said is you guys have dealt with the critical infrastructure, right?
Right.
Oil and gas, mining, food and beverage. And these are areas that are, a lot of people think that hacking is for money only, right? Like directly trying to steal a bank account. But a lot of people don't understand that hackers are not just people that are doing it for, it's not like one person. It can be an organization that is after either financial assets, but it could be intellectual property as well. So if somebody's trying to hack into food and beverage, they could be trying to hack into trying to understand their intellectual property, trying to understand their operational excellence, trying to understand how they work, right? Or can be malicious, like for example, in mining, they could be trying to do damage. And we know that there are, what we call APTs, assistant persistent threats by enemy countries, by enemy organizations, right? And these are not, they're not doing it because of religious or whatever. They could be paid to do these kind of things. So there's so much that is unknown to us. And with the advent of AI, it becomes even easier for these hackers to understand vulnerabilities and figure out what's going on. So the good thing about Spica is that you guys have dealt with the most toughest of these niches, right? And you understand the most complex environments. And now serving SMBs in the US, which are normal SMBs, right, which are not critical infrastructures, would be much easier because now you understand the complexity, and now you can apply the complexity in a very seamless way to, normal regular SMBs. It becomes much easier. When I say normal, what I mean is terrorist organizations or countries are not trying to break into a dentist's office, for example, or
Right.
but there are hackers at different levels. So I really like that you can use that center of excellence and things you've learned and then apply them into other businesses across US and Canada. That's amazing.
One thing which I missed, I did talk about the various, one of the other customers which I've also been talking are small law firms. They have a lot of information. Like even there are these companies who are involved in IP litigations,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're not very big law firms, but they are these law firms who need that, and they have so much of data, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
another space also I've been talking and offering my services and solutions, Spica services and solutions.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're right. It could be healthcare, it could be
It could
medical,
be
it could be
anything. It could
lawyers,
be
it could be
lawyers,
anybody that
anything.
could have any kind of HIPAA information or financial information or intellectual property information is important too, right?
Right.
How do you build and maintain this credibility? Because it's not easy, for customers to trust that giving their their security to a managed services provider, and how do you show and how do you maintain that trust with these customers? I'm guessing it's with like proper reporting, ongoing, being transparent, showing what you have defended, maybe education, maybe processes, and just showing them the before or after. And just I'm sure with like more communication and then hiring the right people around it. But just wanted to hear from you, like what do you, like how do you build and maintain credibility and make sure they feel they are well taken care of from a security perspective? I
I
know you
think
have an amazing team of geniuses. That definitely
thank you.
helps.
Thank you. It's about partnership. It's about maintaining that transparency, working as partners rather than, I'm just selling it and it's having that transactional attitude. I mean, having a partner like Ventrika, it makes a lot of difference, right? I mean, the customers see there's a platform. I don't want to get into details, but those are the few steps you have to take to build credibility. Yes, one is having an experience, knowledge, having the right partners, transparency, and being upfront and straight. Like, could be that you don't know something and then you come back, you do your research instead of just, oh, it will be solved. Oh, we can do it. And
It's true.
that that makes a difference when and customers understands that. And being transparent, being upfront, acknowledge having the right partners and bring the partners. Sometimes that helps too. If you are in a discussion and you think bring that partner in that discussion would there would be value addition. I do that. There's nothing wrong in it. uh, it's always the customer realizes, okay, who all are behind the, you know to deliver a solution, it's not just one person job. It's a group effort. It's a team effort. So
For sure.
those are few things I have done in past. And as I said, this is what knowledge you learn over the years. You
Yes.
understand different business environment and people, and you deliver that way. So those are the few steps. It's not easy. You pointed it right. Letting someone else manage the service, to accept that, it's not easy. And it's not just knowledge. It's not telling them, oh, I have a tool which works with customer XYZ and they could be the top customers. Yes, that can be feel good, but then I know I have a customer who says, you know what, I don't want those big companies. Like, they come, they just say, okay, I've done it. Now it's your problem. I've sold it. Now you're, you know, the customer still. End of the day, we all are humans, right?
That's
You
true.
bring a solution, you train the people. It's a whole change management which takes place.
100%.
Holding hands, not just implementing managed services, but also training people, showing how they're benefited, making it maybe first give them a trial for 7 days, see how they like it, they
Winning the
feel,
confidence of the customer and working with the customer so that they see the value and not being like a commodity or not being like the large, consulting firms like this is how we do it and that's it. Being empathetic and understanding what the customer needs and working with them, right? And
right.
pivoting
So
if needed.
that's I
Perfect.
think our
That's awesome.
main selling point, and that's what I
That's
do.
huge.
It's a
That's huge.
partnership, transparency, and yeah, being upfront.
Beautiful. So you mentioned partnership a couple of times, quite a
Mhm.
few times. Can you give like case studies of partnerships that have had like high impact on what on Spica as a company to kind of help better understand what a partnership means, how it can transform you, and how it can transform your customers?
Today's world, or maybe it was always there, partnership plays in it. Like, not one person cannot deliver everything. It's about having the
Yes,
right collaborations and having the right partners. It can start with references. It could be new business. It could be support, and knowledge. You don't have a knowledge, but my partner would say, oh, you know what? I know that customer had a similar issue,
capability gap, right? There could
capability
be
gap, and it's so dynamic today's this world. The tools, every second day there's a new thing coming up. People are developing tools. By the time it's in the market, there are new things coming. You have to keep your ears and eyes open.
that's
And
true.
you
That's true.
know the network partnership is also network, right? Networking partnership, they play a very vital, crucial role in knowledge. Like I said, it's the biggest challenge and rewarding is the stakeholder management, right? That
That's true.
in a cybersecurity, you have the engineers, you have the business owners, you have the end users. How do you find a shared goal? And that's what partnership is all about. You have a shared goal that,
That's true.
exactly like we run a family, our children, our, family, and we have a shared goal and we have to make this work. It's a factory. And
That's
so
true.
that's why I feel that's how, sorry if I repeated too many times the
No,
partnership
I
thing,
think
but
that totally makes sense. And I would say to highlight that, like just like we have a partnership, between Spica and Ventrica, for me as um, I've been in cybersecurity for almost 30 years now, but having a good services partner that we can count on as our customers, our partners, our acquaintances, our network needs help. We need to have partners that we can, recommend our customers to that we trust.
right,
And I think that becomes very important. And so you're totally right about partnership, is it's like a family. It's also filling the capability gap because one can't do everything, right? You have to have, you know, areas of excellence and expertise, and then you bring other people, other companies, other partners, so that when we provide a solution, it's a comprehensive solution, right? And
right,
that's like Ventrica's mission also is to find such capable partners that we can go out to market with and help our customers as well. So
right.
very well said.
Thank you.
So, what makes Spica different from other cybersecurity companies? Like, what's your unique? You kind of mentioned it a few times. You're more nimble. You're very empathetic to the customer. You don't have a cookie cutter solution. You really a custom tailored. You understand, and then you kind of come up with the solution. Anything else you would like to add?
I think this holistic approach that Spica has, right? We take the complete ownership of the IT. life cycle, security life cycle. And we are not, there are various providers and tools. They just focus, they have tunnel vision, they focus on a particular item or, like tools or testing, but we do everything. We do testing, we design, we, we identify the vulnerabilities, we um, we suggest solutions, we recommend solutions, and then we monitor. So it's a whole life cycle, starting from design to identifying the vulnerabilities, and then monitoring and responsive, being responsive and finding a solution at the earliest, and
Beautiful.
yeah, and being transparent. What you can do, and that's why it's a network service. So that's where I think Spica stands out. But as
Now,
I said,
when you're being
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah, but as I said, speaker success totally depends also to work together and, the customer and having those shared goals. And I think I've already mentioned that. That's where
Yeah.
we differentiate
So
ourselves.
in terms of Spica's technologies, frameworks, or innovation, are there certain areas that you're really proud of that you've pioneered, or areas that you see your customers come back to you, or new customers gravitate towards you for certain areas? You mentioned like cloud security, penetration testing, stuff like that. Are there areas that customers should think about you from a particular angle, like, hey, this we need this, so let's talk to Spica? Or how should customers think about the technologies or areas that you solve? Would it
There are a lot of players in the market. They have tools and solutions. It's hard to sometimes stand out, but you have to talk. What we recognize, the cloud application threat detection is crucial. Identifying the threat is crucial. What is a real threat? What is a false negative? I think the reason customers have come back to us is basically our knowledge, our attitude. We listen to the customer's problem and work with partners, and that's what I think customers found us reliable. And also, we are budget friendly. We are not super, we are not super expensive, but we have a good value for the
Yeah,
services, and
no,
the
no, totally
customer
makes sense.
recognize the
Yeah,
value. That
that's important. That's
yes,
important.
exactly. So they know they can call me. They know that I know what I'm 100. I know I'm going to ignore them. No, so that comfort level that helps for us,
That's awesome.
and we
Cool.
collaborate, we partner, and I think knowledge, and that's what I think makes the customers feel
That's what makes customers feel more, that they can. I think that's very important for SMBs as well. They need to
right.
feel they've been heard and the solution is being created based on their needs, and you're approachable, nimble, and hungry
That's
to,
what.
to help them. That's awesome.
And
All
yeah,
right.
and
Yeah.
as I said again, probably I'll talk about the partnership. I know, and I keep talking about that, but it also, if a customer, like you've been in the market for so long, right? And the customer knows you. And then when you are talking to me or, I go with you, that also brings in a lot of confidence, right? For the customer that, okay, here I am offering a solution, but there's also someone who has experience working with me. So that also helps having those references. I mean,
That's true.
end of the day, we all are humans. And
That's true. That's true.
it's a trust where we work for,
That's
right?
the most important thing, right? In
Right.
business, like trust and capability are the two most important things. But if somebody has capability, but they don't not trustworthy, that's dangerous, right? And so trust becomes almost the cornerstone, and capability can be built, like you said, with partnerships, with hiring people, and can be built. But trust is something you cannot, a company in the leadership is either trustworthy or they're not, right? They don't
Exactly.
change, they don't become more trustworthy because they have more revenue, but they can become more capable as they get more revenue, right? So it's
Right.
trust has become the cornerstone. So very beautifully put.
Right.
Before we changed a topic, you mentioned partnership a few times. What was the reason you picked Ventrica as your go-to-market partner? What were the things that you thought through which made you feel like, yes, this should be a good partnership?
I have known you for a few years now. I've worked with you. And again, that trust factor is always there. That's how its whole conversation between you and me and we started. I've been working with Ventrica tool, and it's a very holistic tool, very well thought tool. It's got
Thank you.
everything. I mean, I really like the way the Ventrica, whether it's finance, whether it's marketing, whether it's whether it's social media, whether it's content creation, whether it's got everything. I mean, it's a
All the
very
AI, all the
I it's got the bot, it's got everything. So, it's perfect. But again, to get the best out of Ventrica, you need to. I mean, it's a machine, right? I mean, you have to ask those right questions. You have to create those FAQs. You have to create those, and there's a great team behind Ventrica who are always
thank you.
so
Thank
supportive.
you.
I mean, I have worked with the middle of the night and I asked questions
Thank
and
you.
I got answers. So it works. I mean, and that's what the
Thank you.
reliability, the response time, uh, the tool itself. It's a very complete tool. I've not worked with other tools, so I don't know. But my experience with Ventrica been great. It's a great
Thank you so
value-added
much. Thank you
service.
for that. And likewise, the work we've done together has been, a real pleasure. We have worked on different initiatives, but I think Spica Systems is at the right place at the right time. And this partnership means a lot to us to grow together. Like I said, we're looking for a services partner because many of our customers are looking for help, especially at the SMB side. And so I think this will be an amazing partnership to help and serve many of these customers that are in dire need. Cybersecurity is a real thing. These hackers are not just attacking big companies; they are holding, hostage many smaller companies and demanding for ransomware stuff is really true. And I know people firsthand that come to us and say, "Hey, this has happened. What do we do now?" Right? And it's so sad. And especially like smaller companies that have no idea and they never did anything from a cybersecurity perspective
Mhm.
other than maybe have an antivirus. They didn't really understand, phishing. They didn't understand those other things, and
Yeah,
it's very
you're
sad. And
right.
that's why I think it's our duty to help these and customers. So I want to take this to the next topic about AI, right, and the
Mhm.
future of security. We all have opinions about, AI, and we have heard of ethical AI, and AI should be bound, and we have heard of the other side like AGI and transformers coming in, and we have heard of AI being used by criminals and hackers and enemy nations. What is your view of how's AI transforming cybersecurity in the next 3 to 5 years? Might be too far out. I would say next 3 to 5 months, the way things are changing. Like, what is
I
your
know.
viewpoint? Where do you see things happening?
You're right. Everybody talks about AI now, but there's a big knowledge gap, and not everybody understands. AI definitely would be central to threat detection, and which is like like predictive defense. Like I told you, finding out which one is a real threat and which is a false negative. AI would be amazing with such automations. But as you rightly mentioned, AI will also be used by attackers. They would also use it. So the question is how we accelerate there, how we as solution providers, who wins the race is, and how organizations adopt the AI responsibly, the governance, and will stay ahead. That is the thing. Because, yeah, is available to everyone, both for users and the attackers. And how we accelerate the race and how we adopt it, that's what is the crucial.
Absolutely, very well said. And is Pika embracing AI? Are you using it for your
We
own purposes?
Yes. So we are using AI for anomaly detection, and but again, it always needs to be combined with human expertise. Like, I'll talk about Ventrica the same way. There is AI, there is bot, but there is always a human behind. So same
100%.
thing. There is AI, but we combine it with human expertise and that backup that gives the comfort level, right? So and then we so that's what we do basically. And yeah,
Wonderful.
we design AI enabled systems, but always keep humans in the loop. And that's the way to move forward. I mean,
That's very true. That's very
yes.
smart. You want to build systems, but also have somebody who's an expert overlook it and make sure that it's not malfunctioning and doing other wrong things. And then over time, when it trains, then you know that, okay, this AI model is rock solid, and defining what that particular AI agent can do and cannot do, I
Right.
think is also important, right?
It takes a bit of time for that training, like
Exactly.
all
Exactly.
those things. So yeah, too many people, everyone talks about AI, but
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
very interesting tool. It will definitely help with the threat detection and predictive analytics, but
Yes. Absolutely.
there has to be a human in the loop.
But yeah,
Yes.
perfect. And how do you see the role of like CISOs and security teams? Like you said, threat detection, especially in SOCs and NOCs, being able to see anomaly detection, doing predictive, being able to view a threat from a totally different angle versus what was done in the past, and also being able to do it at scale and speed, right?
Right.
For a human to see all the different threats and try to figure out, number one, it's only one expert trying to figure that out, or like a few experts, but smaller companies don't have those experts, right? But when you train an agent, when an expert or a team of experts and PhDs train those agents, and then those agents are now available at scale to everyone, there's huge value to the world in that, right? And that's the only way forward to protect smaller companies, and so that's an amazing thing. Do you see that CISOs would probably, and security teams will be more focused towards creating such agents, which are, let's call them like capability focus agents? Like each agent is only doing one or two things. So it's not a chat GPT of the world. It's like that agent only does one thing, very much similar to like humans. Like one human is very good in, doing one aspect of vulnerability analysis or threat detection, and the other one does something else. And they spend their entire life monitoring logs and all of that, right? Would you view that to be the path forward? Because I feel that's, in my view, the future would be probably an army of these agents. Each agent does something very particular, and then we combine them to create the entire architecture. I probably see that, and each of these agents is machine learned and learned a lot of the stuff that's happening. Um, how do you see it? Like, do you see it similarly, or do you have something
I
else
think
you
I
think?
would summarize the whole thing, what you said, and I think you and I are thinking the same. Yes.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think the CISOs will move from a firefighting role to a strategy role where they would, because the AI will handle all the noise and, all those, but CISOs can then focus on governance, risk, and, strategizing, security, and how to align with the business objectives. And that's what the CISO's role would be, which I think is very interesting. And that also, what is going to be interesting is not everybody can be CISO. You have to have a very rounded knowledge. You can
That's
be
true.
a big computer engineer and all these years CISO had product knowledge, but just that won't help. You need a very rounded knowledge. You have to, it's more on a strategic development where the person needs to understand the tool and the AI, but also has an overview of governance, the risk,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
business environment. So that has become very crucial. And that's in every space, whether it's a teacher, the CISO, everybody, the roles have changed and which I find very interesting actually.
That is true. That is true.
You need to be very rounded.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So with these changes in AI and your vision towards bringing your capability from these large, mining, production, agriculture, more to SMBs, which you're already serving, and you're expanding actively in the US and Canada and the world, where do you see Spica Systems in the next like 5 to 10 years? And I would say, other than, of course, growth, and everybody wants more growth and more customers and more help, we add more value. Let's talk about the why. Like, what's your larger mission and vision beyond just revenue and growth? Like, what would you aspire to, have Spica be as a company?
And I would like to speak out to be able to set a standard, which would be a combination of trust and innovation. So that's where I see it. A kind of, I mean, we know we can always say, oh, I want to be a global leader and this, and
Right,
there
right.
are a lot of leaders. But where I see and I would like to be is that we should be able to set a standard. Good combination of trust and innovation, combining innovation with trust. And that has to be a kind of set a standard for a full stack IT development, like IT lifecycle development and security. So when Ventrica goes out and they feel confident and it's okay. And then, it's when we are talking and able to set that standard that, that's a perfect match. So that's where I would like to
Absolutely.
see Spica Systems in 5 to 10 years.
That's beautifully said.
Thank you.
So my last question is, I know there are a lot of founders, some very experienced, many of them not very experienced, right? Many of them are college grads. I know that huge number of people drop out from college to do startups. Again, for multiple reasons, glamour is one of the large ones, and hitting the lottery is another one, and stuff like that. What would be, you know, being somebody who's very seasoned, worked for some of the largest companies, and having done your own companies as well, and having like this very global, diverse experience, in the U.S., outside the U.S., large companies, small companies, and all of that. You have tons of experience. What would you say? What would be your advice to aspiring founders, especially in cybersecurity? What would you tell them, or maybe in general, founders in general, so that they can not necessarily, you know, like yeah, in general, what would inspire them? What would you caution them? And what would be your tips to them so they can, continue with their dreams and make their dreams a reality?
I would say I would urge people to focus on the customer's reality and not get carried away with the hype. There's too much of noise out there about this AI and cybersecurity and all. Focus on the reality, understand the problem. Real impact comes from solving a problem, understanding the customer's problem, solving the real problems. Not. And so stay agile, be responsive, and always think long term, not the short term. Think long term, stay agile, be supportive, be honest and upfront. That's all I would like to say. I'm myself a very upfront straight person, and life is much easier that way. Whether it's a
Absolutely.
customer, any relationship, if you are able to be straight and upfront, yeah, it might sound sometimes stupid, but it's okay to be stupid. But yeah, be understand the customer's reality and be upfront and honest and
That's awesome.
solve the real problem. That's what I would say.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That is like solve the real problem that the customers have, and
Exactly.
not a problem that you think exists, and not the problem that you think is going to make you rich or whatever. It is about
Yeah.
like, hey, am I solving something that somebody needs? Yeah,
Right.
beautifully said. Devjani, any last comments? Anything you want to share with anybody who's listening to this? Anything
I think
else
you had a
comes to mind?
great list of questions. You kind of covered everything, but thank you for having me. And it's a
Of
pleasure
course,
being here. And I'm
of course,
hoping we would have a long term relationship and we'll have more
absolutely,
such opportunities to talk and share knowledges. I mean,
absolutely. Would love to have
we
you
learn
back,
every
and
day. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely love to have you back in some panel discussions, and serve our customers with knowledge, wisdom, ideas, messages, and a thriving discussion. I think more than anything else, and learn ourselves. Even
Right.
I learned a lot from you, and
Of
hopefully we
course.
can invite other guests and learn from each other. So
Sure.
thank you so much for
It's a
being
great
here.
platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Devjani. Have a wonderful day, and thank you
Welcome.
everyone who's listening. Bye now.
Thank you.